Ghosts, zombies, vampires, werewolves. Doppelgangers, dolls, psychopaths, Hero Brian, the Smile Monster? The first list contains things that are traditionally scary. I mean, just think of any other horror movie. To us, however, the second list is a little more unnerving. Why? Well, there's just a sense of familiarity and almost humanness about them that makes them off-putting.
The second list contains examples of the uncanny, defined as having or seeming to have a supernatural or inexplicable basis, beyond the ordinary or normal, extraordinary.
Beyond the definition, though, what is the uncanny and what makes something uncanny?
I'm Armaan,
And I'm Vasu.
and in this podcast we're going to be discussing just that.
The concept of the uncanny was first coined by German psychologist Ernst Janst in 1906, and later expanded upon by Sigmund Freud in his essay, The Uncanny.
Freud described the uncanny, or Unheimlich, in German by using another German word, Heimlich. Heimlich can mean familiar, comfortable, homely, or homelike, but it can also suggest something hidden or concealed. The uncanny rises from this duality. Something uncanny is unfamiliar, but it also feels strangely familiar at the same time. It can be something that we thought we had repressed or overcome, but it returns in a way that unsettles us.
Creepy.
Agreed.
It's almost like our brain is trying to reconcile two conflicting pieces of information. Familiar, yet strange.
And now to discuss some more examples of the uncanny, we brought on some of our friends to talk about their uncanny experiences.
Hey Adnan, what are your thoughts and experiences with the uncanny?
Hi Vasu. So, I basically think my whole life has been uncanny. So, just thinking about photons, which are like light, we can see them in our everyday lives, and they kind of represent what we see and sense every day. And so, this whole debate that there has been about being light being waves or particles is really uncanny, because we see light as being such familiar and such a familiar aspect in our lives and something we experience every day, but at the same time we don't really know what it is.
And that's facts.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually. Do you think the concept of the uncanny can be related on a broader scale to science?
Yeah, definitely. Science is basically discovering things that we don't know about or have some familiarity with, but then discover new things about what we know. So definitely, yeah.
And up next, we have Abhinav.
One thing I find very uncanny in society is the strip malls, and on a larger scale, larger malls. When you think about it, human nature and the way complex civilization arose, it fundamentally relied on bartering, and as sedentary society advanced, it became this the familiarity of bartering sort of transformed with the rise of capital into the consumerism and other forms of wealth and product transfer. And it's really, if you think about it, you go to your nearest 7-Eleven, you have a water bottle there, the most fundamental need of life. It's taken into this carbon chain of plastic, and then you have to drink it, right? It's kind of crazy to think about it if you look at a very long scale historical perspective on it.
And finally, Abikia.
Okay, so for uncanny, I wanted to relate it back to dreams and nightmares, and especially nightmares, because I feel like those are a lot more uncanny than dreams. And so for this one nightmare that I had when I was 4 years old, it was I woke up in the nightmare and I went downstairs and I saw my family members, except they weren't completely my family members. There was something off about them. Their heads were shaped like triangles, and they were living in my basement, and that really was so unsettling to me and really resonated with me, because they were my family members and I recognized them, but there was something slightly off about it. And then I got really scared. And I feel that's because, like I said, uncanny, and how, it was almost similar, but, not really.
From the mystery of photons to the strangest nightmares, the uncanny is everywhere.
Sometimes the scariest places aren't in the dark corners of our world, but in the familiar shadows of our minds.
Vasu and Armaan, out.